Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. In today's topic, we're going to be talking about what it truly means to have haters. When I say what it truly means, and by the way, excuse if you hear my voice, I lost it a few days ago because of allergies. If you know, you know. But I want to come on here and still show up regardless of how I sound. So we're just going to have to work with what we got today. I want to talk about what it truly means when you are dealing with somebody who is what we're going to call a hater. Basically a frenemy, somebody who really pretends to be your friend but then can stab you in the back when you're not around. Talks about you when you're not around. Gets upset when you don't give them the energy or the reaction that they're hoping that you give them. We're going to be diving into some experiences that I've dealt with when it comes to realizing that this is somebody who's more of a hater. No matter what I do, no matter what I say, no matter how I say it, no matter how I go about my life, it's always going to be something that they don't like. Whether it be how I look, how I talk, how I dress, what I choose to do with my time, things like that. You know, it's always going to be something that they feel like they just cannot genuinely be happy for me or just allow me to mind my business. Vice versa with anything in life. So we're also going to dive into some type of examples of people who aren't really your friend and some red flags that you need to look out for. I also kind of want to give you some solutions to what you need to do to help yourself in case, or not really in case, when you run into these type of people in your life. Because, you know, there are some people that are just not happy. They're not happy about whether it's them insecurity wise, their situation. Sometimes they're just not happy with anything with them, and so they got to project it to you because, you know, you're not afraid to express how you are. And we all have insecurities. So I'm not coming on here to say, oh, we need to talk trash about people who just have some imperfections and don't like it. No, it's really a hater, a frenemy. You know, I like to be nice. A frenemy, somebody who really is not a friend, or somebody who just really doesn't like you. So if that sounds good to you, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, share this with a friend or someone that you know who might need some friendly advice, because we all been there one way or another where we run into people who just don't like us and they don't really have an explanation and they don't really owe us one. But you owe it to yourself to watch out for these signs and understand that it's not your fault, and it's more of a reflection of how they feel about themselves and how they feel just in general, because you know what they say, misery likes company. Alright, so I want to first introduce myself. Hello, my name is Allie, and in this channel we are all about having women empowerment, self-development. I like to go over, you know, girl chat, things that we've been through, that somebody may need a friend that doesn't really have a friend that needs some advice on something. Because, you know, we all go through things. And so I want to be able to create that community. I want to be able to be there for you guys. This is a safe space for you guys. And I want it to be very genuine with no judgment. And, you know, we can come together and talk about different things and our experiences, because, you know, since COVID, it seems like we've definitely have not gotten back to having that community, because we're all so worried about hurting each other or somebody doing something malicious. And granted, there are people that are like that, hence this video, because some people are just generally, they don't have your best interest at heart, and we need to be able to love ourselves enough to set boundaries when we run into these kind of people. Because we cannot control anybody else. We can only control how we react to things and how we feel. I want to be able to help you, because it really does take a skill and a practice to ignore the hate, take everything with a grain of salt, and understand that this is something that they need grace with, and that you need to just allow them to be them, because we're all human and we all go through shit and we all have toxic shit. So I'm not coming here making it seem like I'm holier than thou. However, I have gained a lot of wisdom, and I would like to share that with you. So if that sounds good, let's continue on with the video. Now, when I talk about frenemies, when I talk about people that are hating, I'm not talking about people that generally have something to say, and even though they find it hard to tell you. It's something that they feel like they need to tell you because they love you, like a family member, a friend, a mentor. Sometimes we do need people in our lives to tell us what we need to hear instead of what we just want to hear. And it's very unhealthy to have like a whole bunch of yes men, yes, 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 a whole bunch of people that just always, they don't have an opinion. They all about whatever you think, and that's what they're thinking. They embody you. They become who you are, and they're not their own individual person. We're going to talk about people like that. We're going to talk about situations where somebody is just very malicious, they're very dramatic, they're very toxic, and they take advantage of you in little ways, or they have these subtle ways to show that they're really not your friend. And it can be hard to miss, especially if you're like me, who is a recovering people pleaser, and I always give people the benefit of the doubt. I don't like to give people like my quick assumption. I always see people for what they potentially could be, and I don't like to take people for what they're showing me. And after a while, you know, I learned that that's not healthy for me, and I'm not about to keep allowing that, because it's making me become very miserable and depressed and filled with anxiety, because I'm walking around every day worried about how people perceive me, and if whatever I'm doing is going to make them go off or just be upset with me, because I don't like people being upset. So I've learned to be able to not really take a lot of things personal. So when it comes to people who are your frenemies, there are people that like to give you compliments, but they're more like backhanded compliments. They can be anywhere. We generally see them most of the time with like the mean girl clique in high school, middle school. But you know, it happens even outside of like high school. Like, people surprisingly don't grow up from those type of toxic ways, and people love to form in cliques, you know. And sometimes people will want to give you an insult because, you know, everybody has an opinion, or people just like to make people feel bad. But they don't want to come off as somebody who's mean and bitchy, because they have this mask, they have this reputation to fill. So they'll give you a compliment where you're kind of questioning the compliment. You're like, was that really a compliment? Or, you know, just kind of, for example,
oh, I love your hair. I mean, I would never get it like that because I feel like it draws too much attention. But if you like that, you know, kudos to you.
Something like that. Like, if you like the hair, just say you like it. Why do you have to bring up what you wouldn't do? Because it kind of makes it feel like you're trying to make the person feel bad. Or if somebody has a goal that they done financially, like they paid off $1,000 credit card, and somebody's like, oh, well, congratulations.
Hopefully now you're able to stop trying to make yourself look good and spend money and go broke trying to keep up with the Joneses.
It's like, you know, we all do things and we're all not perfect, but giving somebody a compliment needs to come from genuine intention. Like, if you're not genuinely wanting to give somebody a compliment, it's really not a good compliment. It's a toxic compliment. So we're going to try to make that a thing. But yeah, people who give backhanded compliments, people who always got something to say negatively. There are even people who don't even give you compliments on things that you've done that you deserve it for. Like, say you get a promotion, or you get a raise, or you've accomplished something in your life, or you just generally probably got a new outfit or something. And disclaimer, we don't need to be walking around waiting for people to give us compliments. We should always walk around with, you know, quiet confidence about who we are and ourselves, doing things because we like doing them. We don't need to be, of course, relying on other people. But, you know, if you see somebody and they look good, you know, just tell them that they look good. Somebody who's generally confident and somebody who's generally like giving and loving, they're going to give that compliment with all like meaning. They're not just saying it just to say it. Whereas you have people that will not give you a compliment at all. They will stare you in the face. They will look you up and down. They will look at everything. Somebody else can even compliment you, and then they will acknowledge that they did it, but they still have yet to give you a compliment. However, they do acknowledge what is different about you or what has happened to you that is good when somebody else does it. But they'll never say it to you in privacy or when you guys are alone. That is somebody to me who is definitely a friend of me. They're definitely a hater, because why you can't give somebody a compliment? Like, we should all want to give each other praise and support, because that's how we like keep going, you know. Like, it's just all about having good values at the end of the day. And not a lot of people have good values. So just because somebody else chooses to keep up with their bad values and morals and patterns and behaviors, that does not mean that we need to deal with it and we need to accept it. We can accept it as far as this is who they are, and we can wish them the best, and we can hope that they've somehow gained the awareness to change. But if they're not willing to change, or if they even like how they are, then at this point, this is where you have to like accept them in that type of sense. So I want to talk about some red flags that we can watch out for, other than, you know, the usual backhanded comments, the people who don't like to say stuff. Let's see, one red flag that I can say really shows somebody who's a friend of me, or just really just a hater, is when they want all your socials, they want to be around you, they want to hang out, but they rarely make any effort to like really hang out with you when you're there. They kind of leave you in the dark. They only really, you can tell, want you around just so they can have like a whole bunch of people around. And let's say you're not a part of whatever they have going on, whether they're people who drink, who smoke, who like always get into like drama, who talk a lot of shit. If you're somebody who's not like that, you know, it's kind of hard to relate to that. So, you know, you start to feel left out. Sometimes, you know, they know that they're like that, and when you're not like that, you can't relate. So what they'll do is they'll say things like, oh, I'm having a party, but you can come if you want. Like, no, we're not doing that. So story time. I want to talk about a time where I had this job where I worked at. I'm not going to really say it here for, you know, safety, but let's just say it's a job where, you know, it's pretty laid back. It was pretty chill. It was really below my skill set, but you know, I needed the job. I needed money, and we're not going to act like I'm too good for a job if they're still paying me the same US dollars. But I mean, I was there, and you know, because it's such a small type of company, you know, you get real personal real quick with some of the co-workers that you have, and the clients and things like that. And there was this one co-worker I had, and we just clicked, you know. We had a lot of things in common, and she was a good co-worker, like great worker. Like that's one thing I will always say, she's a great worker, and she's always was very detail oriented, and it was a great work relationship. However, I got to notice that like throughout hanging out with her, thinking this was going to be a great friendship, starting to develop a good friendship where I had like somebody where I was really in common with a lot of things. Come to find out, she was not only very dramatic, very drama filled, but she is a very, very compulsive liar. Like she's one of those people that will lie just to lie, and will lie to like not really own up to anything with accountability. She was very narcissistic, and like always was about her. It was really bad, you guys, to the point where like she would make as if certain conversations that we've had and had certain words that she started hearing me say, she would start saying, and basically acting like as if it was her original words, her original thought process, basically. And you know, I didn't really think too much of it, because I feel like some people just catch on with things, and that's how stuff happen with slang and different things like that. But it's a difference when I say something about a story or an idea or an experience or just a whole, like, you know, conversation and my thoughts on something. She would take that opinion, you guys. She would take that opinion, and when talking to another person, make it seem like it was her original thought. Wouldn't even say nothing like, oh, I remember having this conversation with Alex and blah, blah, blah. No, she was acting like that was her own original thought, and she started doing it with everything. It was even bad where like certain things she act like she's better than and wouldn't do when somebody else does. She did it. And come to find out over the months, this is somebody that I really just couldn't be around outside of work, because like, I don't want to be around that. I don't want to be around people like that. And it's no tea, no shade to her, because, you know, there's a lot of good traits about her. She's very friendly. I mean, it's just like, at the end of the day, I felt like she was very, like, somebody who just didn't have her own personality and just had to, like, embody other people's. But to each their own. The problem came in is when, like, it started affecting work. One day, somebody lost a key, and it was just this big ordeal, because the client is like one of those HOA people, and it was like a big thing, because it wasn't really brought forth. So very judgmental on that situation, had her own opinions about it. And let's just say a situation came up where God showed her and put her in the same predicament, and the way that she claimed she would have handled it and was like protesting how the person should have handled it. Basically, she reacted and went about it the complete opposite. Like, I was shocked, like, deep down, because I was like, wow, you really just sat here and was not really like real at the end of the day. Like, you sat there and judged this person on their mistake, but yeah, you did the same thing and did not really be about what you said you was. Like, I don't like people like that. Like, if you lost something or something happens, God has a way of, just fess up about it. But if something happens and you judge other people about it, God has a real way of showing you that I'm going to put you in the same boat and see if you're going to react the same way. But to this day, you guys, to this day, has not confessed about it, is willing to take it to the grave, basically, even to the point where lying to me about it. And as far as the work relationship, we were very honest about a lot of things, but apparently that was a learning lesson about how she really viewed me as a person and respect when it comes to not lying about certain things. But all in all, I learned my lesson, and because of that, I chose to have my own boundaries. Really, she's really upset about that. Like, hasn't really said anything, but really upset about the fact that I chose to then step back and choose to only be around you when it's time for work. But outside of work, cut off, because that just shows your integrity. And I want to be around people who have good values, not somebody who pretends for the sake of pretending to be a good person. So that's my little story time about people that are really not good people, that are really haters, because to this day, I chose to not really talk to this person. Now, okay, you guys, so my camera died, so we're just going to have to do this with the phone. But I just want to be able to finish what I'm saying, Basically, I just realized, I need to put boundaries on this. I cannot keep sitting here and allowing you to put your type of value and behaviors on me, because you are who you hang around, and I don't want to be around people like that. I want to be around people who learn from the mistakes, hold accountability, because that's what I would do. So I'm not going to feel bad that I chose to not be around somebody who does that. And it's funny because now, like I was saying, she was having a going away party, and basically I chose to not really want to be around. I chose to leave our work relationship where it was at the job. There are other coworkers that hang around her that are really upset because I chose to choose myself in the situation. Granted, I do want to say this person does not know everything. I'm pretty sure, because of the type of person that our old coworker is, she would never tell the truth. She would never really confess, because she played too much of a role of a facade to people. So I'm not going to be someone that goes around and tells somebody else's business, because that's not who I am. And I don't want to change who I am for the sake of somebody deciding to show me who they are and doing me a certain kind of way. I've learned I'm not going to act how you are and match your energy, so to speak, because then what does that say about me? So this person really does not know everything. They're just going based off what is they know. And they're really upset about the fact that I chose to basically keep that relationship where it's at. And they're really butthurt about the boundaries that I've made. And so now I've come to realize, there are haters everywhere. There are haters at work. There are haters at school. There are haters when you just probably be in a certain group together, in a certain class together. It doesn't matter where you go. You're going to find people who are not genuine. And it shows if you pay attention. So that was my little story time about that, because it's just funny how it really took a lot of awareness that I really wanted to have this year and these past years, about wanting friendship and been wanting to have people around me that I want to have like-minded common things about. And this was just a learning lesson, because I realized the person that I want to become, that person does not fit that narrative. So I'm not going to put myself in a position to be around that, because then that's speaking to the universe that I need to basically, that's what I want. Because you are so people who you hang around. And I want to be around people who are wealthy, that basically know who they are, that are confident, and just a lot of other things that strive for not perfection, because we're never going to be perfect, but just all around personal development, because that's how you have a high quality life, and that's what I'm all about. So I just chose, and it's really hard that I did that, because I was always somebody that gives in, that starts wanting to fit in, and start feeling so much anxiety about other people wanting to give me side eyes and silent treatments and stonewalling because they're upset. But not this time. So I just want to say, whenever you find people like this, there are some solutions that I'm going to go over that I feel like I want to share with you guys that help me, that I feel like can help you. So whenever you run into people like this, number one, what you should do is, of course, ignore it. Don't engage. Do not engage, because that's what they want. When you engage, you then get reactive. And if you're somebody who has not really graduated on a certain level of not being reactive, it will not be good for you if you start engaging in it, whether that's talking back, even with gossip, just commenting on stuff, not even really making it known that you're not somebody who wants to talk about gossip. You need to be able to do that for yourself. Another thing that you can do when you meet people like this is realize that this is coming from a place of insecurity. This is coming from a place of projection, and it's better to learn that now. That way you can learn and understand and not take everything personal when people start doing stuff to you. So that's a real hard one for me, because it was really on the, well, I'm going to prove who I am. People not going to try to. No, I'm not going to do that no more, because it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time and energy trying to get people to see me for who I know I am. Like, I'm okay with being misunderstood if it means I'm going to live my life how I want to be, and I'm not hurting nobody, and I'm not hurting myself. Like, if I choose to not be around somebody who's two-faced and fake, then that's my choice. So there's other solutions. I know another one that I used to do is I used to always, of course, go talk to my real friends about stuff, kind of get their opinion, or get an opinion of somebody who you really value, because sometimes you may think a situation is what it is, but until you get somebody else's point of view, whether it be what you really was in your intuition thinking about or not, sometimes it's best to get another person's opinion on something. Then you still make your own opinion, of course, but sometimes it's good to know, like, hey, am I tripping about this? Hey, I don't know if this person is doing this, so just kind of hear me out. Then another solution that you can do is you can basically just like come out with it and talk to them if they're willing to be receptive, of course. But you can talk to them and let them know, like, hey, I'm placing a boundary on this. I didn't like when XYZ happened. I tried doing this, so this happens again. This is what's going to happen. It's all about making it about you at the end of the day, because somebody who doesn't want to understand you, they're not. So there's no point. So I say all that as to say, when you have people in your life that are like haters, that are just not really your friend, or they're just overall not good people, and they're like that probably with everybody, it's just best to not waste your time. And I don't want people to be around people who really don't like them, because that's how you held yourself back from your truest potential and to be able to fully have the abundance that you deserve, because we're all worthy and we're all deserving of what we desire. But there are certain people and certain energy blockages that does happen along our way. So I want to be able to talk about that today, because I feel like it was just in my heart to bring it out and talk about it. It's a little, impromptu, but this is what I feel like I need to get out and share with you guys, because a lot of times we really don't know who our real friends are until like a big dramatic thing happens. We don't need to wait until it gets to that point. So most of the time people show you who they are in little subtle instances. We just have to have enough awareness of ourselves to then start having the awareness of how other people are. So remember, it all starts with you. I hope you liked today's video. If you have any comments or anything you would like to share, any story times you have about your haters and people that you've met, leave them down in the comments. I will be so grateful to kind of have a continuation of this conversation, because this is not just me talking at you. I want to go back and forth and talk to you and with you and hear your thoughts. So with all that being said, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, share this video, and until next time, you guys, bye-bye.